Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 29 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your future FPL planning. Make sure to get the app downloaded at all the relevant app downloading stores. It is 12:34 p.m. We are 56 minutes away from the Gameweek 29 deadline. And as per usual, I'll be answering as many of your FPL dilemmas as I can up until the 1:30 p.m. UK time deadline. As usual, questions will be answered in order of submission. Repeat/similar questions may well be skipped. Firstly, let me take you through the graphics because that may answer many of your questions. Top right hand corner of the screen, you'll see my team. I've taken a -8, which I'd alluded to earlier in the week. Vardiol, Kirkes and Cliver in for Alexander-Arnold, Hall and Rogers. I'll be lining up this week with the beautiful Jose Mourinho 5-4-1 low block of Pickford, Castagne, Gabriel, Colwell, Vardiol, Kirkes, Bowen, Palmer, Cliver and Kunku. Captain is Chris Wood for me. However, top captain for me, in my opinion, is Erling Haaland. In terms of preference for captaincy, I would go in order: Haaland, Wood, Cliver, Evanilson, Fernandes. That would be my top 5. You can see the rest of the top 10 to the left of me. That will rotate with my correct score predictions for the game week. Bottom right-hand corner, you'll see my predicted lineup for all 16 teams playing in the game week as well. Bottom ticker will have all the flag players and next 5 game week fixtures for all the teams. And above that, and right and below me, the benching dilemmas. But James, I ain't got a bench this week. Yeah, but it might be useful, particularly for those on free hit, where there are 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start out of those 2 players. They run in order left to right, pages 1 to 4, and you will find some goalkeepers on page 5. I think that's it. Nothing else major to announce, so let's get into your questions then. First up is Billy Taylor says, yes, Jay Lins, hope you're well. I'm taking a -4 to getting a defender for Trent before wildcarding 32. Do you prefer Kirkes, Aitnori or Vardiol? Budget, not a problem. Josko Vardiol is my answer, mate. Tanky says, morning, James. Cliver or Fernandes to buy in captain for this week? Cliver, the preference of the 2. I think on Fernandes, I'm going to end up saying this 10 times over, I think. Like, for this week, amazing. No question, right? Hat-trick on Thursday. Playing one of the weakest teams in the league. I do think that those who buy will be considering selling him as early as the next game week. JP says, hi mate, how do you see Man City Brighton playing out tactically? Question. I think City will be quite similar to what they've been recently, with kind of 2 high and wide wingers in Doku and Savinho. I think Marmoush might come into the team. I think João Pedro might play a more withdrawn role today to allow Danny Welbeck into the team. I think Jack Hinshelwood might move into midfield with Tariq Lamptey back from suspension. But I don't think there's anything that I would expect that would be rogue from the 2 teams. I think City are on a path of trying to find a way of playing that's been consistent for a number of games. They could change, having lost to Forest last week. And Brighton are in good form, so I can't see Hertzler wrecking up what they've been doing well recently either. May well look like a back 5 off the ball with Minter dropping in. We saw that a lot when they played Chelsea. Chris Koo says, hi James, would you get Bruno from -4 to play him instead of Colwell or Greaves? Most likely wildcarding in 30 to play the Arseman 31-33, thanks. I mean, yeah, it's effective over 2 shitty defenders that you're not expecting anything from this week, so yes. Hasselbank wins his thoughts on Mason Greenwood. The boy is in serious form. Do you see a chance for him at an elite club again? No, don't care. Adam says, hi James, would you roll 1 free transfer, do Marmoush to Evanilson or Mikalenko/Vandenberg to Kirkes, Housen or Aitnori? Already planning Robinson to Munoz next game week. All the best. Look. Ultimately, Adam, we may get a Manchester City team leak close to deadline, so that's going to be the impact here, right? If Marmoush is in the team, you don't want to move it. If he's not, you will. So ultimately, Adam, your answer is probably defined by something that happens in around about 45 minutes from now, which we haven't got control over. On the face of it, I think Marmoush will come back into the City team. I don't think there would be enough upside on the Bournemouth or Wolves players over Mikalenko this week. If you're playing Vandenberg this week, then yeah, I would make the change and get one of them in. Kirkes would be the preference for me if running through, but again, a little bit dependent on your strategy, which I can't say. Zaris says, do you think Greaves will start? Is a value risk to sell Salah for Haaland? Subscribe and like to our FPL God James. Thank you, Zaris. Do I think Greaves will start? Yes. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Wouldn't be thumping him out. I mean, in the case of like getting Fernandes in the team from -4 to not play Greaves, sure, yeah, absolutely. In terms of Salah to Haaland, right, this is going to be personal preference, right? I would say this with these two players, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know about Salah and Haaland, right? So in the face of it, Haaland this week, great. Probably a better captaincy option in game week 30. Then what? What if you get Haaland and he blanks this week? How do you feel then looking at next week with no Mo? Do you, I've got to get it back. And what, you're going to take hits to like remove Haaland against Leicester? You're not, right? These two players are too powerful, right? Ultimately, it's decided by what you want to do with captaincy and how much you can feel you deal with this week without him, or how much can you deal with not having Mo Salah for next week or the next number of weeks, subject to what you're doing with strategy, right? Up to you, man. My preference has been to keep Salah, but I'm looking a little bit further ahead, and ultimately I came to a conclusion that if need be, I could put Haaland in 33. Therefore, survive this week. I do think Haaland is the best captaincy choice this week. CM Punk 2310 says done Trent, Hall, Cunha, Tavares, Milenkovic, Evan Nilsson from -4. 10 including Dango as of now. Wildcard 31. Another hit worth Alisson to Sells. Can then do Dango to Bruno for another hit, making it at -12. Now, look, I wouldn't bother taking the hit for the goalkeeper, mate. I'd just miss out this week. -4 just for a goalkeeper for 1 week. Because you don't pick Sells over Alisson next week. If you had something to shit next week and you Sells as well again that week and then more, fine. You ain't picking Sells over Alisson next week, so I don't think that to be worthwhile. In terms of Dango to Bruno for a -4, again, absolutely fine. You need to make the other transfer to do it. If you're looking at Dango and you can go Dango to Clivert, specifically Clivert for a -4, I would do it. Will Jones says, afternoon, James. Need a 7 million or below midfielder for a 2-week punt. Already got Clivert, so thinking Semenyo or Gibbs Wood. Don't currently have any Forest players. Any thoughts? Thanks. Yeah, look, if it's specific for the next 2 weeks, then I think there's a slight preference for me in going to Bournemouth player. So Semenyo, mate. I do have them two as the top two for the next 2 game weeks. Although I have Manchester United a greener fixture than perhaps some other people would. But I think the fact it's 2 home games for Bournemouth just gives them the edge for me personally. Will Jones have just covered. Steve Greenwell says, best of luck, everyone. For those of us on free hit, let's hope for at least great arrows. Smash the like and sub you all. Thank you, Steve. Have a good weekend. Steve Elbow says, not sure what factors I can use to solve my Wood versus Haaland captaincy dilemma. Here's one for you. Haaland is 14.7 or 14.8 and you're not captaining him at home to Brighton. How much was he worth it? Look, when Haaland's on it, let's be honest, he's doing okay, but not justifying the money. But many of you have regularly listened to my streams over the last couple of years will know I'd have said very often, if Haaland's at home, I don't want to have the argument. For me, without Salah, who's obviously been unbelievable this season, if I'm sitting there with Haaland, for me, there is no debate. Haaland would be getting the armband. Carmen Petrovic, hi James, which sounds better? Palmer Isak out for Haaland/Bruno and play 3-4-3, or João Pedro Palmer out for Haaland Semenyo and play 4-4-2 with Greaves. I'm not sure your 11th player is on the first option, but the preference is going to be 3 up front, mate. Rather than 4 at the back. Matt Maher says, hi James, I'm 0.1 off João Pedro to Haaland, so probably selling Mateta instead for 11 stars. Alternatively, I could downgrade Dango to fund João Pedro to Haaland. I only have 3 hit and wildcard left. You could do that, but where do you downgrade Dango to, and does it just give you another problem further down the line? Yeah, the options down there at that value are not great. This fella's name, who I can never pronounce, but as always, Staffis. Staffis, thank you, mate. I'm glad to see your name there. Staffis, good man. Who would you get for Cunha and Neto? I have Wood, Semenyo, Cliver, or change Greaves instead of Neto for the second transfer. I wouldn't be against moving Neto on. I think it's the sort of one that was a really good punt for the fixtures against Southampton and Leicester. I wouldn't be against moving that. Gibbs White, Elanga, Hudson and Doyle, probably the top candidates from what you've got. Binning Greaves. You've got Wood, so it's conflicting. if you can move Greaves up to one of the more appealing ones like Kirkes, 8 Nori, then yes. Otherwise, I'll take the route of probably moving Neto on. JP says, not sure who to cap out of Penandes and Wood. Anything in regards to the opposition that would swing it for you either way? No, I mean, we could certainly read in, if you've been looking at Leicester kind of historical statistics, had probably been that because they changed to a back five at Chelsea and they lost 1-0. So if I'm reading in between that, yeah, the preference for me is with Wood and Forest. Clear talisman. The reality is United could win comfortably tomorrow night and Fernandes plays like a quarterback and it's useless for you. He also could play like a quarterback and still get his returns, right? Because he's a world-class footballer. But preference would be with Wood, mate. John says, hi, James. I'm predicting 3-1 Spurs on free hit. Thoughts and X-Mins for Solanke, Son and Porro. Thanks. All a risk of not starting. Genuinely, all a risk. I've got Porro and Son predicted to start, not Solanke. I definitely would not be playing Solanke on Sunday if I was picking the team. Sod that. Give him half hour at the end of the game. Udogie will play. So it's one of Porro or Spence. Not sure. Son could easily be left out. I do think Sonny will start, most likely. But I wouldn't be going near him, mate. This is the honest answer. And we may well go there and relax and win by that sort of scoreline, but I wouldn't be going anywhere near any Tottenham players this week, mate. LP says, afternoon, James. Who do you prefer, Avadio, Aitnori and Kirkes for this week only and over the next 3 game weeks? Right, so there's 2 different answers on that. Right, so for this week only, probably Vardiol, even though it's the toughest fixture, because I just think he has the greatest ability to post a 15-pointer, and that's what I would want to chase. Overall, 3 weeks, actually, it's probably the same answer. So, yeah, in the order of their prices, I think Vardiol, Kirkes, Aitnori. Frederick Hertz says, what do you think about going Cresswell or Williams on a wild card to increase future doublers and keep bench boost open for both game week 30 and game week 33? It's fine, but if you're going to take that sort of principle, then make it Williams and Wan-Bissaka, because to know now that Cresswell will play in game week 33, good luck with that. I haven't actually got him in my predicted West Ham lineup this week. I think there's a strong view that West Ham could well change to a back 4, and under that circumstance, it's highly likely that Aaron Cresswell would come out the team if that happens. By the way, everyone, smash a like, it don't cost nothing. Next up is Steve. Good afternoon, James. Are you surprised how many people are still unsure on their longer term plans this close to deadline? For example, wildcard, free hit, etc. Do you think a lot of people just wing it? I think a lot of people just wing it, but I also think there's definitely a group out there who are prepared to act based on the FA Cup results. So they might be planning wildcard 31, and they don't need to define what happens after that if that's what they're planning. Just the truth, right? Because you could say, right, I'm planning to wildcard 31, bench boost 33, free hit 34, but they do think the results could go a certain way, and it's like, wildcard 31, bench boost 32, free hit 33. So those people don't have to define themselves. They literally just have to laser focus on the next 2 weeks, and that's fine. Next up is Odin Gilmore. Had James 2 free transfer and bringing in Haaland for Palmer. Wanted Gibbs White, but I'm 0.1 short. Suggestions, I was thinking possibly Garnacho as a punt. I don't mind Garnacho for this week. Wouldn't want him anything longer than that. So no. I think that's inevitable. You're going to end up looking at, say, like Ebeze next week, for example. You might have the luxury to do that, otherwise not Kane. Truthfully, I would just take a different Forest option and go Hudson-Odoi or Elanga. I have a minor, and it is a minor preference for Elanga. I think reality, you could flip a coin between the 2 of them. Berticus says, hey James, is Son a shout for free hit at all, or on minutes the issue? As said, I wouldn't be going anywhere near us. Clearly, he's the sort of player that has the capability to get a big return. I don't know how many away goals Heung-min Son has scored this season. In fact, I'm really fucking intrigued to find that answer. Apologies, I'm going to keep next question as answering. Away goals scored by Heung-min Son this season. At Arsenal, deflected effort from the edge of the area. Got 1 at Southampton, great. Kind of doesn't even count, does it? That's it. 2 away goals all season. To me, that smells like I've got the money in the bank. I don't know what to do with it. Don't waste it on Son. I think he'll start. If he doesn't play the 90, nearly certain. And he could easily be a substitute. I wouldn't bother, mate. Wouldn't bother. Urus Milicevic says, hi, James. I have 11 players this week, but that includes Greaves. Would you transfer Hall to Milenkovic 8 Norrie from -4? To bench him, I have Gabriel and Vardial. I think ultimately, Urus, this might line up a little bit like to what's next, right? So next, are you going to end up playing Greaves again in 30? Or perhaps a better way of doing it, whoever will be playing, perhaps, I don't know, you've got a defender that's not available this week. Let's just say it's Fabian Schär randomly, right? And the player you bring in, you're like, oh, I'm going to play him over Fabian Schär next week as well. Then definitively that's better than the -4. Now, it might be, it's probably more likely, maybe, that the one you got sitting on the bench might be Munoz, right? Now, whatever you bring in, you're probably not picking over Munoz in 30. In fact, you're not. But it might be better than another defender. So if you're getting a player in, and it's like, yep, that's better for me next week, and that's better for me somewhere next week, take the hit. Right? So for me, I bought in Kirkes, right, for an additional -4. Basically, for Lewis Hall, my view on it was, well, he's playing instead of no one this week, so that's definitely value in getting him this week. But obviously, with him having Ipswich at home in game week 30, the intention would be to start him in that week as well. So it's better for me. He would also most likely play for me in the 2 weeks after as well, 31 and 32. So therefore, it's definitively worthwhile for me, right? If he doubles 33 as well, I'm probably playing him in every week. Then that's great, isn't it? Fantasy Flucus this afternoon, James. The preference, actually, by the way, out of the ones you're going for, is 8 Norrie. Fantasy Flucus this afternoon, James. Would you double up and put in another Forest defender, Williams, for Colwell, have 2 free transfers, or Robinson? I'm not clear if that's buying or selling Robinson, but I definitely wouldn't sell him this week. Next week, he becomes expendable. Probably subject to what Fulham do, and obviously the FA Cup, you might want to keep that for a double in 33, a double in which he probably only plays once, by the way. Williams for Colwell, yeah, but see, this is the flip. Right, Colwell afterwards, Tottenham at home. I've seen Tottenham lose a lot of away games, 1-0 this year. Brentford away, Ipswich at home 32 might be really good for you. Everton at home, Colwell might be really good for you in 34. So I think you're weighing it up for more than just this game week, right? There's a longer process here, but again, it might be subject to what you're doing. I wouldn't say Nico Williams against Manchester United is definitively better than Colwell against Tottenham in 30. So I'm not sure it's worthwhile. For free, I get the temptation, but if you're wildcarding very soon, I'm not sure I'd bother, because I think, although yes, I would favour Williams to score more, the extra additional transfer will be more use for you for something else and better at a different stage. Billy Taylor says, I heard a rumour that if you don't smash a like, your planned free hit team is going to score less than 30 points. Huge if true. Also, I can tell you that Billy Taylor put that exact same thing in the chat going into game week 29 last year, and many of you scored less than 25. That's a true story. True story. Eddie asks, says, hey James, on wildcard 31, would you take a -4 to remove Dango for a Langer this week, all I can afford, or just hold and play Dango? Cheers and come on you Spurs. Ultimately, if we was in a scenario, which is kind of thinking about the unlikely, but a scenario where we then thought Utara was going to start against Ipswich in game week 30, then it wouldn't be worth the hit. Now, if we knew that he's not going to start against Ipswich in 30, which it has to be what we currently think, then it probably is worth the hit. I'd be very tempted on that, though, to think for Elanga to pay it back this week, that's basically, he's got to score Elanga. He's got to score, because we know Utara will at minimum get on the pitch, right? So Elanga's got to score to pay that back now. If you don't make the transfer now, you're saving the 4 points, and maybe you can still move it on to something else next week, and maybe you pick a different solution rather than Elanga. I think that's a really borderline one, Eddie. Really, really borderline, because you're only looking at the 2 weeks. I think I'd leave it, you know. I think that one's borderline. There's certain ones like Cliver I've been really clear on and was yesterday. If it's like Otara to Cliver, -4 all day long. Elanga, I'm not sure I'm feeling it. I think that's borderline. It's borderline. So I would say to you, Eddie, if you really fancy it, by all means, go for it. Follow your gut on that one, mate. Henriette said, just wanted to wish you a good game week, James. Thank you for all your advice and content. Join the Patreon, guys, and smash the like. Thank you, Henriette. Have a great weekend. Tanky says, is Clivert likely to be rotated when he comes back from the international break? Has FA Cup then Ipswich and West Ham? It might be. How long's a piece of string? I had someone asking me yesterday about not going Evan Nilsson instead of Mateta because they were fearful of Evan Nilsson not starting against Ipswich. Said it's fine, it's reasonable, right? Play City Sunday, Ipswich on Wednesday, West Ham Saturday. Yeah, could rotate. But Mateta has the cup game on the Saturday, and it's not till Wednesday, Southampton. Yeah, but it's their big game against Brighton on the Saturday. Is it implausible that Nketiah starts at Southampton in game week 30? Nope. So I think we can do this for all these players and becomes an overthink. I've just used an example with Utara, but we can't see into the future, right? There's a possibility for the person who asked the previous question that Utara suddenly looks great again for 30. What if Evan Nilsson picks up a knock again, right? So, yeah, I think we can overthink this. Is he likely to be rotated? Sure. Yeah, there's a possibility. I definitely wouldn't let it stop me buying him, though. Joe Pickle says, already on a -4. Would you take a -4 to get Sarr for Fabianski? I have Alisson, so would have 10 players. If I kept Fabianski and another -4, Trent Vardy, wildcard in 31. Is a -12 worth it? Break all that down. I'm going to answer one question. Is it worth putting a -4 in for a Wolverhampton Wanderers goalkeeper for 1 week? Never. Never. Go to player short. No. It's not worth it, mate. You're playing Southampton, and they're not the best defensively anyway, Wolves, right? You would definitively, obviously, pick Alisson over Sarr in game week 30. 1 week, go without. The chances are, this is truthfully what most likely happens here. The most likely thing here is that you take a -4 and finish the week with 2 less points than if you do nothing. That is the most likely scenario here. Tommy Gonzo says, Marmoush question, I own him. Would you captain him over Cliver if we get a leaky starts? If he is benched, would you take a -4 to sell him? Already on a -4. Certainly what I would say is if we knew definitively Marmoush was in the team, he would rank a lot higher on the captaincy. He would certainly make it into the top 10. I'd probably put him in and around Bruno Fernandes as kind of 5th, 6th choice, right? So you can consider, would I captain him? No. Would I take a -4 to move him out if he's not in the team? If it was to Evan Nilsson or Wood, yes. To anything else, probably no. John says, yo, Jimbo, start Palmer or Savinho. Smash the like, people. Aren't you in a luxury position, mate? Cole Palmer. Dave Hannigan says, afternoon all. Dean Godfrey says, hi, James. Palmer to Bruno from -4. Have 10.5 players. Got Dango. Not keen for me. Like, ultimately, this week is Bruno better. Yeah, cool. Wicked, right. Now, tell me the 3 weeks afterwards. Again, I don't know your strategy. But the 3 weeks after, please tell me any week that Bruno's better than Palmer. It's not. He's not. So, I don't think it's impossible. I literally can foresee this circumstance. Palmer does well tomorrow. Okay, unexpected. Palmer's back in form. Bruno then blanks in the last game of the game week, which is then like your psychological, your biggest memory because it's the last one. And you're looking at game week 30 going, God, go Bruno Fernandes to Cole Palmer, you know. That's all I'm saying. It's not to say right on the face of it, this 1 week, it's fine. I'll just literally zero consideration for me to make that sort of move. I obviously could have made that move, right? Absolutely zero consideration for me. Now, I'm thinking a little bit more long term. If you're wildcarding game week 30 and you want to make that move because you believe there's enough gain in Bruno this week, I don't mind it. I still don't overly think that would be worth a -4. Spooky Saucer says, free transfers, Palmer, João Pedro, Rogers to Kluivert, Haaland, Elanga. If I also do Visser to Wood -4, I get Dibbling benched for 30 instead of Elanga. Take the hit or play Visser, wildcard in 31. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing your own Visser, mate. Don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. Like, is Wood a better option this week? Yes. Is he worth a -4 to put in for someone like Visser in a game that we probably expect goals? I say probably not. Probably not, mate. Tom G says, got 10 this game week, including Dango, selling Gakpo +1. Which do you prefer? Sell Mo, bought for 12.9, buy Bruno and Haaland captain, sell Palmer, buy Elanga and Haaland captain. Jesus Christ, Tom. Sell Dango, buy Bruno captain, Evan Nilsson wildcard vote. How am I meant to read all that and remember all that, pal? Jesus Christ. Right, don't sell Mo. That's the best advice I can give without remembering all this. I'm not keen on selling Palmer either. Sell Dango, buy Bruno captain. There you go. Khalid Skaney says, hello James, would you start Kepa over Flecken? Which duo do you prefer? Yes, I would go Kepa this week, home advantage. Kluivert and Milenkovic or Elanga and Vardiol from -4. Prefer the Kluivert route, mate. Samuel Jameson says, hi James, Evan Nilsson and Bumo or Kluivert and Visser on free hit. I'm going to assume that you're blocked off of more Bournemouth, because the answer I want to give you there is Evan Nilsson and Kluivert. I mean, you could toss a coin between that, couldn't you? That would be the preference, mate. To be honest, Samuel, that'd be my preference. Take out another Bournemouth player and put the 2 best Bournemouth assets in your team. That would be my preference. If you're sitting there with Kirkes, like go Nori or Milenkovic or something like that instead, and go Evan Nilsson and Kluivert. That would be my preference. Tom Armitage says, hi James, for the next 2 game weeks, do you prefer... And also, Samuel, if you are blocked... Sorry, Tom, I'll get to you. If you are sitting there with a Bournemouth defensive, the Brighton one is contradictory on... the Brentford one, sorry, is contradictory on a free hit anyway. So shouldn't really do that on a free hit. Tom Armitage says, hi James, for the next 2 game weeks, do you prefer A, Bumo and Elanga, or B, Bowen and Semenyo? Cheers. For the next 2 game weeks specifically... probably Bumo and Elanga. Just about. Jack B says on wildcard, backup keeper and 4th defender. Howson and Valdimarsson or Anderson and Areola. No bench boost left. Thank you for clarifying that, because that's particularly important. Preference would be Anderson and Areola, Jack. Those... Ultimately, I get it. You haven't got a bench boost left, but Areola could be really useful for you in 33 particularly. So I would rather pay that. Is there enough reason to go a Howson over Anderson? Only really if Howson was going to like definitively improve your team kind of every week 30 to 32, because you won't want to play Anderson in any of them. That's all that needs factoring in. So like Anderson's pretty shit 30 to 32. Will be really handy for you, I imagine, in 33 or 34, subject to what Fulham do against Palace in the Cup. Abdul Hamid says, good day, James. Transferring out Trent Hall, debating between the following 4 to bring in: Vardiol, Saliba, Milenkovic, Kirkes. Which 2 should I consider? Anyone else? You can copy me, mate. I went for Vardiol and Kirkes, mate. So that would be the preference call. For our patrons watching on live, as always, thank you very much for your support. If we've got any trusted team leaks going around, please do drop me a tag on Slack, and we will obviously share the information here. There is nothing at the moment. Remember, deadline is 1:30 p.m. UK time. Andrew Sand says, feels way too early for a balls out move, but I've rolled the dice for free. Cunha to EBH. Fuck's EBH, man. Mo to Savio, Dango to Kluivert, Trent to Vardiol. Feels season defining. Who the bloody hell's EBH? Please don't tell me. It's not that deep. EBH. Cunha to EBH. It's a forward. EBH. The fuck's that? Who's EBH? Oh, whatever. Anyway, Andrew, good luck, mate. Greg Williams this afternoon, James. I have Palmer, Bumo, Clive and Salah. All right, Clive. Left turn, Clive. 3.5 million in the bank. Only AM and free hit left. Would you remove Nwaneri into who? A 1 free transfer left, thanks. No, leave it be this week, mate. Rolling. Frederick Hertz is on wildcard. Kepa, 8 Norrie seems the best combination for game week 30. But any combination of Forest and West Ham might give me option to wait and pick between 30, 32 and 33, or hold that thought. Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, Haaland, EBH is Erling Braut Haaland, isn't it? Good one. Good luck, Andrew. Cheers, guys. I got it. You don't need to put Haaland in the chat. EBH. Fucking. All right. I see what you did, Andrew. Love you, lots. Um, I have to go and remember that now or not. Right, on wildcard. Kepa 8 Norrie combination for 30. Any combination of Forest and West Ham might give you an option to wait and pick between 30, 32 and 33. Or, I'm not sure what the question is, Frederick. Like, again, like I don't mind like a Williams and Wan-Bissaka. Or in your case here, obviously it's a goalkeeper. So, you know, it saves money even, doesn't it? Areola and Williams. Or you can go up to Milenkovic or whatever if you want instead, right? Sandini15 says, how many DMs you get about people's teams every week, even though you've been cleared that the DMs aren't open for that? About 15 normally, mate. Don't even look at them. Just delete them. Staggers me. And quite often, I do read some of them. Because what people do, and this is what they should really do if they do want me to get them as well, they should start with, hi, James, love the content. Big fan of the pod, right? You think, okay, kind of want to answer it. But then I just think, I read that and I think, you can't be really, because I'm very clear about it, right? Just tag me on Twitter. Or I don't even mind if people actually said to me, oh, I don't want my mates to find out because, you know, I'm in social and they'll think it's cheating, right? One, right, if your mates think it's cheating, then okay, it's not that deep. But I can understand maybe you don't want to be seen publicly. Fine, but at least say that, man, because otherwise I just think, I keep saying, just tag me. Just tag me. I will answer everybody if you just tag me. The problem with opening my DMs is people then think it's abuse. And unfortunately, I've always historically let people in. And then people think it's cool to just ask me questions every single week. Nah, I got Patreon for that. John says, free hit, mate. Got 8 Norrie and Forest defender. Who is the best for third spot? On the attack and money not a thing. Cheers, buddy. Free hit. Vardio. For me. Tom Love, hi James, favourite third City option for the next 5 game weeks? There isn't one. Isn't one. Haaland, Vardiol, no interest in anything else, mate. I'd rather just go to a different team. No interest at this stage until something becomes clear about a Marmoush or a Foden. No interest personally. If I had to pick a third, truthfully right now, I'd say Kusanov. He'll play every game actually as it stands. He's not that expensive. Embid of Joel says, hi James, my beautiful man. Hello. Swiss Wavy says, start at 12:34. Nice. Adam says, hey James, start Enzo or Dango? Ugh. What a great question. I'll probably chase Dango, to be honest, yeah. Bella Muss says, option 1, Palmer, Isak, Dango, Cunha, Trent. Jesus. To Haaland, Evan Nilsson, Bruno, Kluivert, Cresswell. For a -8. I've got to remember all this, apparently. Or 2, Palmer, Isak and Trent, Haaland, Kluivert and Agbadu will have to play Dango and Greaves and bench Cunha. It was easier for me to remember the second option, Melon, so I'm just going to say that, mate. Kieran Kiri says, hi, James, can you pick 5 anytime goal scorers in Premier League this weekend? Yeah, Haaland, Wood, Kluivert, Fernandes, Larson. James Brennan says, hi, James, any rogue punts for Diff Team? Wildcard 29. Cheers and have a good weekend. Rogue? I mean, the thing is, when there's so many free hits knocking about, there's not going to be many players I'm going to throw you that's like, oh, no one's thought of that. Okay, let's throw out a couple of names that no one's mentioned on the stream yet. Abdullah Doucouré of Everton. Be one. Joshua Zirkzee, Manchester United. Brennan Johnson, Tottenham. Because to be honest, I think of the players we've got, he's the most likely to start on Sunday. As much as he pisses me off, he's potentially good for a return, isn't he? Yeah, there's a couple for you, mate, but I wouldn't recommend any of them. Uros Milicevic says bench Dango or Neto. Dango. I'd be surprised if Neto didn't start. Stefan P says, hello James, would you go Salah and Gakpo for Haaland and Bumo, or Palmer and Gakpo for Haaland and Morgan Gibbs White? Plan to wildcard 31 and get back either one I sell today. I probably wouldn't buy Bumo at the moment. Just Bumo just for Bournemouth away and Newcastle away. I don't think I would, mate. And that allows you to keep Salah, so that feels like it makes sense. Mikey Coates says, hey mate, got all my chips besides triple captain, would you recommend? It's not that straightforward, mate. What I recommend is listening to Thursday's podcast, where we looked at wild card and free hits this week, and which includes quite a bit of future strategy. I recommend listening to Chips and the Arseman Volume 3 from 12 days ago. That's probably the recommendation, mate. Like, I could say to you, do this, that, and the other. I've got no clue what you've got in your team at the moment, mate. You got everything left bar. What did you say? Everything bar triple captain. Okay. Wild card 31, bench boost 32, free hit 33. Arseman later. You go. But I don't know if that's right for you, mate. Jerry Darmy says, hello, Jimbo. Non-FPL question. I've seen what PSG did to Liverpool. Is Enrique's game plan the best to beat this Liverpool side, or Nuno's with how he did against 6 sides so far? Nuno's doing incredibly well for Nottingham Forest at the moment. But I do think, I've spoken about this, I think there's a limitation of what it will be. And I think, they'll be in Europe next year. And to be honest, I can't foresee them sustaining what they're doing. There is a shelf life on playing that style. Luis Enrique is very sustainable. Now, of course, he has better players, so that's helpful, right? So if you play Enrique's style and you've got the quality of Southampton's players, you're going to get mullered, aren't you? So the quality of player you've got is important as well. Lazy FPL newsletter saying that Omar Mamouche starts for Manchester City. So Lazy FPL saying Omar Mamouche starts for Manchester City, which certainly puts Phil Foden in jeopardy. The FPL newsletter is reliable. If they're sharing that information, they are doing it in good faith, not to stitch anybody up. Always take this information at your own risk, but that would appear to be good news from Mamouche, and that will change a few free hits, I should imagine, because there'd be a temptation to put him in, I think. Right, next up is John says, start Cliver or Semenyo. Good luck this week, champ. Both. 100% both. But I'm going to assume you're on a free hit and you want one or the other. Preferences, Cliver. Melon Must has given me a third option, mate. There's no way. I'm sorry. Love you lots, mate. I'm not remembering the other 2 options, mate. The second one, stick with that. Velin Nakos says, hi, James. On a free hit, bench 1. And then I can't see any players. George von Schreiber says, hi, James. Do you think Cunha's ban will be extended? If so, would you get Jackson for him in draft this week? No, I wouldn't bother doing that because he could be back in 31 and Jackson might not play before then. So, no point, mate. I've got Cunha in a draft team. He's not going anywhere, mate. Jet Tasker says, Nico Williams or Milenkovic, if can afford either, then preference is Milenkovic. Just think about your future moves in future game weeks. John says, hello, James. Thoughts on Onana rather than Sells as a free hit punt? Thanks, fella. I think Suja's going for Onana. Fine. But ultimately, I'm backing Forest for a clean sheet and not United, right? Right. Velin's got his players now for a free hit. Bench 1. Evan Nilsson, Gibbs White, Foden. Well, based on the Marmouche news at the moment, it's probably Foden, isn't it? Without more additional information, because he could easily be a substitute. So, got to take the information for what we've got at the moment and have to say you couldn't look at Foden at the moment and think he was any more than 50-50 to start at this minute in time, right? Charles says, hello, James. Would you transfer in Manetzi in for Rodgers? No, wouldn't bother my ass, mate. Gareth James says, great stuff as ever, James. Cheers. With 11 playing as a sub this week, would you use the Billy Gunn? I'll see what you've done there. He's an arse, man. For 29.31 or hold off a week to pick up the doubles in 32. Have a cracking day, mate. No, I don't think there's anything good to use Arseman on this week, mate. I think there's a few that might open up for game week 30 where it's not impossible that I even activate then. No, nothing this week, mate. I'll be holding off. You could still go 30 to 32, bench boost 33. If you're looking at bench boost 32, it becomes awkward. But as said, for the person earlier who'd kind of asked, I'd just go, Jed, you know what, I use Arseman at the end under that circumstance. James Lovegrove says, liking and commenting, no questions, moves made, chilling with a cup, have a good one. Thank you, James. Hope you're well, buddy. J. Broski says, final weekend. Yep, shout out to all our Newcastle and Liverpool followers. Very best of luck in the Carabao Cup final tomorrow. Russell Baker says, hi, James. If I had Salah, Darwin, Trent, Mateta, Sarr, Munoz, Isak and Hall in your team, would you free hit and deal with it later or wild card now? I'd take out Darwin and Trent and be tempted to play this week with 9 players. What's wrong with that? Chat Tasker says Rodgers to Elanga from -4. Would bench next week anyway. Clarify, bench Rodgers or Elanga. If you're benching Elanga, no. If you're benching Rodgers anyway, sure. But then are you playing Elanga next week? Pushcast says, considering Clivert from -4 for Dibbling, I own Dango as well. Should I instead sell him for Clivert? What use is Dibbling to you? I would need to sit on the bench every week. Like, the difference in the money, is that important for you? Do you need to bench boost soon before you wild card? I mean, all these things come into play, mate. On the face of it, I'd probably just shove Otara to Clivert, maybe. But again, you could have the scenario where Utara looks like he's going to play 30. That's great. If he doesn't, then does Utara move on for you in 30? Yes, probably. And if you were going to move Dibbling on anyway, then you may as well leave Utara there. Roundabouts, mate. Camrel says, good afternoon, James. Suggest someone for Dango with 6 million and a free transfer. Also, are you travelling to Frankfurt for the Europa League game? Dango under 6 million. I think you're looking at the Forest players, the Hudson Odoi or Elanga. It says a coin flip. I have a tiny preference for Elanga personally. Am I going to Frankfurt? Yep, all booked, mate. Come, you Spurs. Ulian Tabarachu says, hi, would you play any Wolves attacker this week on a free hit? No. The only one I would consider is Larson. Rasmus Anderson says, thanks as always, mate. Going back and forth between Wood, Vardy, Palmer, or Haaland, Elanga, Ray and 8 Norrie from -4, wild card 31. Ultimately, there's a Haaland decision in here, right? And also, I don't know what you're selling. Because clearly, I mean, I presume, surely you're not thinking of selling Wood, Vardy, or Palmer to make this happen, are you? Definitely wouldn't do that. If those 3 Rasmus are put there to sell, would not bother doing that, mate. No. Mikey Cope says, hey James, got all my chips beside triple captain. Would you recommend? May free hit. Just covered literally the same question for someone else a little while ago. Mikey, good luck. Tropical says, start Rico Lewis or Dibbling. Christ on a stick. And gamble Dibbling, don't you? Daniel Comiv says, hey James, not sure if it was asked before. Should I bench Dango versus Agbado? It's good days. I think I'd chance Dango, mate. Jay Lee says, Marmouche only bench for fasting hours. Leicester is day after Eid. Okay, thanks for that information, mate. I'm sure that'll be the same for every single person who is preaching. Preaching, is that the right word? Following? Sorry, I might not have the right terminology there. Zach Lawrence says, hi James, excellent content as always. 1 free transfer. Would you transfer Boomer out for this week? Can afford any mid. Would then probably have benching headache next week and then wildcard 31. Cheers. Transfer out Boomer out for this week. Not really. If you don't know where you're going, mate. Like if you know, I'm going to go Fernandez. Like, cool, yeah. If you don't know where you're going, just leave Boomer in, mate. It's Bournemouth away. It's not like fucking brown trousers, mate. Adam Taylor says, start Dango or Castagne. I think it's still Dango, isn't it? You're hoping for something off the bench, ultimately. And that's despite me backing Fulham for a clean sheet. Like, if it's Robinson versus Utara, then, like, all day long, I'm like, yeah, play Robinson, man, because there's enough attacking threat in it. We haven't really seen that in Castagne. And I also acknowledge that there's a good chance Fulham play a back 3 and Castagne plays wing back. I think I'd still go with Tara, mate. I think. Jad Dimac says, Rodgers for Foden or any City mid for -4. Don't like any of them, mate. We are circa 12 minutes from deadline, by the way, guys. Please do make sure you get yourselves locked in for the benefit of our patrons watching live. Thank you as always for your support. If you've got any info, please do drop me a tag on Slack. Luke Stevens says, hi James. The predicted doubles for 33 look underwhelming with the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool having great single fixtures. Could we find ourselves wildcarding with less doublers than most seasons? 100%, mate. 100%. Simon Baker says, James, thoughts on owning 100% and over EO players on free hit when not captain? Chris Wood, case in point. Yeah, this is an interesting one, this, because I think inwardly there is a temptation. Well, I'm losing on him anyway, take it on. But you're also limiting the damage. He does feel a bit ugly, free hitting and having effective 10 players. But ultimately, if you think Wood scores more than the next person you want to get in, and I say it's Evan Nilsson hypothetically, you shouldn't not go Wood because you're not captain, i.e. if you're going, say, Haaland captain instead, you should still go in. And I think ultimately, Chris Wood is in the best three forwards this week. So I think he should go in. And I think that's the right play. Because if that's what you believe. If you don't believe he's in the top three this week, then you take him on. Ultimately, remove it all. I understand what you're saying. It's a really good question. But ultimately, remove it all. On a free hit, your choices are get me the biggest points that I can get. And I get it a little bit more if you're chasing. So you're thinking, well, I'm 30 points behind a mini league lead or whatever, so I want to go against him anyway. Sure, I mean, that's circumstantial, absolutely fine. But ultimately, free hit, pick the 11 fucking players you think score the most points is the best advice I can give. Neil Kager says, good morning, afternoon, James. Team already done. Just wanted to say thanks for the great content and for folks to hit the like. Cheers. Thank you, Neil. Have a great weekend. Yeah, smash a like, everyone. Truly be appreciated. About, well, so sort of circa 25-30%. Yeah, don't cost anything, people. Khalid says, Cunha, Palmer, Watkins out. Haaland, Wood, Gibbs, White in. I don't like selling Palmer. I'm clear on this, but yeah, on the face of it, yes. Field BUK. Hi, James and Wildcard. Who would you take? Cresswell or Agbadu? Areola or Sarr? Other goalkeeper would be Henderson. Agbadu and Areola. Excuse me, sorry. I've been very clear on concern about Cresswell. And I think it could come back around. It's a problem for Areola, but only if he gets injured at this stage. So, and Agbadu's a lock for Wolves. So, Agbadu and Areola, mate. Bill Brownie says, would you do Isak to Wood from -4 or just play Dango? Ultimately, what are you going to do about Isak? That's the bigger play here, right? You will want Alexander Isak for Gameweek 32. Now, if you tell me, Jam, I'm wildcarding in Gameweek 31, crack on, do it, mate. Sell him. Sell him. As long as the value doesn't matter too much for you and stuff, right? If you go, well, I ain't got wildcard left, I wouldn't be selling Isak. Right? So strategy is important here. Daniel says, should I play Agbadu over Dango? I've answered that one already, mate. Andrew Sands says, Thomas Tuchel FPL team league. Sold Salah for Jordan Henderson. Thomas says, why is Savio a better captain than Marmoush in your opinion? He isn't now. But I just think ultimately when I put this together pre-stream, there was enough reason to suggest that Marmoush wouldn't start, having not started the last one, right? Too much of a risk to stick the armband on, ultimately. Find it very unlikely that Savinho doesn't start for City, so that's the reason why. So now, with the information appearing to suggest that Marmoush would start, no, Marmoush is the better choice, mate. I'm not fucking changing the graphic though, pal. Steve Elbow says, thanks for the answer, James. You're very welcome. Kieran Mahan says, hi James, no free hit planned. Bench boost 32, wildcard 33, 34. 10 playing this week, including Greaves. No City, I'm losing the wheel here, mate. No City Haaland this week. -4 for Bruggen this week, considering he plays Leicester at home 32. Is there a question? Good luck, mate. Pliskin says, hi James, which sounds better? Watkins, Isak and Trent -4 out for Haaland, Wood and Vardy, or Watkins, Isak and Rodgers -4 out for Wood, Evan Nilsson and Bruno. Right. And both of these have got Wood in there. I've got to ascertain all these players. I fucking hate these questions, mate. Sorry. I've got to remember all these players' names. Haaland, Wood, Vardy. Akbar says, have Haaland and Savinho for a hit or just go Marmoush for free and hope Haaland doesn't score? Well, I think we can trust the Marmoush issue. The Marmoush situation. Is it going to be an issue again in 30? God knows. God knows, mate. But yeah, I'd nearly bought Marmoush last week, right? Don't have a problem It's a good asset, I think, potentially. Zen Shishko says, would you take a punt on Matswari and hope for a clean sheet return? Would I? No. Myth NUFC, hi James, do you think Newcastle can park the bus and win the trophy on Sunday? Can Newcastle win tomorrow? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Absolutely they can. In truth, do I think you will? No, I think Liverpool will win. But can you? Yes. You've got issues at the moment, but so have Liverpool, mate. FPL bot says, is Foden starting? I don't know, mate. I'm not a bot. We believe that Marmoush is starting, so read into that what you will, right? John, Son, 7 away assists, captain option. Like, subscribe and share, lads. Good. So he's got 2 away goals. Sorry, I forgot about 7 assists. Does that make him captainable now? Captain, fuck me, man. Listen, nothing to make me happier, John, than if you message me on Monday and say, I told you about Son, and he's got like a 20-point haul. I'd be so happy, mate. Saeed covered. FPL Alex, Kirkes and Edison versus Sells and Vardiol. You're not here often, are you, Alex? We don't do Edison. That's an option ever, mate. So there's your answer. Chewy FPL says, hi James, on free hit and final dilemma is Sells and Matswari versus Pickford and Forest defender. Not extremely confident United keep clean, but I like the fixture and Matswari's got attacking threat. I think you answered your own question there, Chewy. Pickford, mate. Matthew North, would you move off Palace post game week 30? Why? With the double 32? Why? King of Mandalore says, the women's game sees City play Chelsea 4 times in a row across 12 days. What do you think the psychological impacts of such a situation are? Tighter games, more tactical affairs, particularly early in those meetings. That would be my instinct. I don't know if that will equate. No idea. Elvin Jam says, Dango to Bruno for a hit. Yep. Lee says, where's the best place on Twitter to find last minute team news? I want to know if Savinho will be starting. Look around, mate. I'll tell you what. Trust me. If someone who is reliable shares that information, I will be sharing it here, mate. Because we're looking as well. Me and the patrons are looking, and we'll share the info if it's knocking about. But the only thing, as far as I can tell, on the 3 o'clocks at the moment, is that we expect Marmoush to start. That's from Lazy FPL for those who joined late. Lee says, MC says, Palmer to Fernandes for a hit, chipping 31-32, not keen. FPL bot, if I see that same question again, then you get treated like most bots, mate. Chu Weng Shum says, that's a great name, isn't it? Start Dango or Kirkes. DK, best Spurs punt this week. Raul Jimenez. CC says, best goalkeeper for 2 weeks. Sells. Master Alistair says, would you take a -4 to take out Dango for Neto? Oh, sorry, Dango or Neto for Semenyo or a Forest mid? Yeah, Utah Semenyo, I'm cool with that. Fancy Fluker, thanks for answering my question. That has definitely settled my mind. Thought about it and compared it for hours. Good luck. John Yallop says, hi James, Cliver and Wood or Bruno and Evan Nilsson if chasing rank 2 weeks and wildcard 31. Chasing? A second option then, isn't it? Tanvir says, start 2, Bowen, Son or Evan Nilsson. Bowen and Evan Nilsson, mate. A game of time, Bruno Marmoush or Haaland Elanga. If I do Bruno, I can easily get Gakpo in for Vissa next game week. Not sure that's the forward I'd be chasing next week, mate. Be chasing more Mateta. So consider that into your thinking. Vladimir says, Semenyo or Gibbs White for the next 2. I have Cliver and Wood. Again, little preference because it's 2 home games for Semenyo. Charlie Edwards, Trent Savardio or Rogers to Elanga. Looking to wildcard 31. Elanga blocks me from affording Beto to Mateta in for free in 30. Then don't block yourself off that move, mate. Thank you very much, Rob Pick. Shout out, my friend. It's appreciated, buddy. Thank you. Some boys is Marmoush starting? Sounds like it. Didier Drogba. Aha, bro is too lazy to spell Haaland. To be fair, I think he probably run out of characters. Bjorn Pettersson. I predict more goals in the Bournemouth Brentford game. Uros Milicevic. Yep, got it. Mark Chalmers. Shit. Lost place in the chat, as you do. We are 2 minutes from deadline, guys. Lazy FPL saying Savinho starts for Manchester City. Thank you very much, Darren. So that's just tweeted a couple of minutes ago. That's Team News FPL. Sorry, that's not Lazy FPL. And I'm not as familiar with that account and its reliability. So take that however you want to take it. But that's been shared within our Patreon community. I don't know enough about that account in terms of whether it's reliable or not. They've also gone brave and said Haaland starts. As you do. Right, we are circa sort of 60 seconds away from deadline, guys. Do make sure you're getting yourselves locked in. Forgive me for checking my own team. As I took a -8 this week. Yeah, still looks the same. Would still captain. So if I use my transfers, I use my free hit when my transfers return. Yeah. Tommaso says Marmouche, Evan Nilsson, free hit. Still Evan Nilsson. Gazman says no questions today. James just wishing you good luck. Thanks for the advice as usual. Like and sub everyone. Thank you, mate. Joey says, would you sell Tell for a -4? I'd sell him for a -8, mate. Although I do think he might start. Darren Klein says, is it worth me doing a -4 to bring in Semenyo for Dango this week instead of having to start at Langer 30, possibly 31? Thanks a lot. Love your pods each week. Keep me going on my wet travels. Yeah, sure. Go for it, Dan. Didier Drogba, should I keep Vestergaard to have 11 men's squad? I mean, the question is a bit wider than this, isn't it, mate? Yeah, keep Vestergaard. Matthew Byer, Marmouche starts. Yeah, we got it. Kevin Parker is Jesus. Should I do... I can't be bothered with this question, mate. Sorry. Isak, Palmer, Trent, Haaland and Langer Williams for free transfers. Got 5 in total. Or sack it off. No idea on chip strategy. I'd sack it off and just sell Trent. Healy's vids, Evan Nilsson for Cunha -4, sure. Tommy Gates, big prop for the Billy Gunn. I got 2 words for you. I'm an ass man. MCIS, great content. Trent Palmer, Isak, and Cunha Tavadio, Alanga, Haaland, Wood for -8. Thanks, sure. Daniel Hansen, thoughts on Kusanov, can't afford Vardia. Don't mind, spoke about him. I think being someone that's going to play regular for Manchester City. FPL Tony appears to confirm Savinho starts as well, so that's good news. Tony's definitely reliable. Okay. Thanks for that, Alex. Appreciate it, mate. That's it, guys. For those whose questions I didn't get to, sorry. Did my best. That's it. Deadline gone. For anyone who's got any non-FPL questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I will cover off for a few minutes and then we'll go through the team news at 1:45 and a few pointers from that, and then we'll finish the stream and I'm going to spend a few hours with child. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button, hope your arrows are green, have a great weekend. Content I can tell you next week will be Game Review Podcast Monday, probably People's Poll Tuesday, Clayton James Show Wednesday, Clash of Correspondence Thursdays, Brighton versus Aston Villa with Sam Murray and Lee Jackson. Friday, Ask James. Patreon content, podcast next week, Q&A, quiz, Tottenham, Money in Football, Manchester United, and a special feature with some of my advanced tier patrons next Friday, which they'll find out about very soon. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Do it because you would like the additional content or because you would like to support the show and help me and Suj and Clates and Nico and the correspondents and everybody else keep the Planet FPL lights on. So yeah, if you've got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, just smash a like and go home. Let's see what we've got. Suj's been in the chat. Suj's in the chat. I bet he didn't go Haaland. Has he come in and said? Suj, any news on Savinho? Yeah, got it, mate. Right, let's do some non-FPL. FPL up, hey James, no questions today, just here to support. Wish you a good weekend. Thank you, mate. You too. Willis Tippett is we're done. Deadline's gone, mate. Ramez says, how many goals do you think Haaland will score this game week? 1. But there's no player that I'd back to get more than 1 this week. Mr. Anderson says, hi James, can Asensio play against PSG or is the parent club restriction just for the same league? As far as I'm aware, he can play. As far as I'm aware. Christoph Ross says, hi James, Spurs question. Has Madders made it up to you? No. Scoring a goal against the fourth best team in the Netherlands does not make anything up to me. He played fine the other night. What I need is from consistency. What I need from James Maddison is not just to throw in a good performance every month when there's a bit of criticism and then disappear again for the rest of the month. Good Thursday night, right? Listen, I hope he does great. Yes, I still think the way he stood in front of our supporters in Alkmaar was disgusting. And I think it showed a real lack of self-awareness. Yet in the week building up to the second leg, he said he understood all of those things. So maybe someone had a word in his ear, right? Okay, look, he's human. He's made a mistake. We forgive it. But as he completely made it up to me, no, I need him to be the number 10 that I know he can be, and he needs to do much better, more consistently. And he's capable of it. Jamie Baker says, hey, James, what's been your favourite stage of Harry's growing up? Fuck me, man. Wow, jeez, how'd you measure that, man? I'm kind of inclined to say the first year, I think. But I don't know how to answer that, mate. No idea how to answer that. Because there's not been this was a terrible year or whatever, right? So I don't know how to measure that, mate. It's an interesting question. I'd say probably the first year, but I don't know, mate. I don't know. Sorry. Yes, as Chris says, left turn Clive or right turn Clyde. Yeah. Diljeet07 says, no question but comment. Like the fact that you list what seems to be all of the menu when asked what you would get at food establishments. It's because I've looked through most of them, haven't I? Mike Clarkson says, have a great weekend, James. Coming Spurs as always. Thank you, Mike. Have a good one. Kevin Maher says, love the show, James. As a fellow Spurs fan, have you watched many old games of us from the 70s and 80s? And have you got any favourite ones? So, plenty of highlights, I would suggest, rather than whole games. I think in terms of whole games, I've definitely watched an 81 FA Cup final replay against Man City. I'm pretty sure I've watched the 82 FA Cup final replay against Queen's Park Rangers. The whole of Anderlecht in 84, I may have, I think, some time ago. And I'm pretty sure my dad had all of the 1973 League Cup final against Norwich, I think. So probably them. But lots of highlights, right? Yeah. I know my history in terms of favourite ones. I suppose 70s is obviously the League Cup final victories against Villa, Norwich. The UEFA Cup semi-final victory in Steve Perryman scored twice against AC Milan. I imagine was an incredible night at White Hart Lane. Obviously, I've seen quite a bits of the 9-0 victory against Bristol Rovers in the late 70s. 80s would be, the City Cup final, semi-finals, beating Wolves at Highbury. See all the Tottenham on the North Bank is a great sight. Watford at Villa Park, 87, semi-final. The Anderlecht game, obviously, 84. Those would probably be the main ones. There's a few for you there, obviously, mate. FPL Frost says, did you catch the Man United versus Sociedad game? Signs of improvement. Dorga is an option when fixture the line next season. Sorry, but I'm going to give you a really shit answer here. I've not even seen the goals. I really don't care about Thursday night football unless it involves my own team. I literally haven't seen the goals or nothing, mate. So I would be blagging if I made any different comment. Tanky says, I feel like Tell could thrive with Solanke in the team. Look, I want to see him play wide. I did a piece for advanced and intermediate tier patrons this week where I watched back Tottenham and Bayern Munich from last summer where Tell played on the left and there was glimpses of something, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was at the time. And right now, my opinion would be that Tottenham shouldn't buy him. I think it's also quite telling, excuse the pun, that in the last 2 games he's not even got off the bench. Now, this is also why I think there's a strong possibility that Solanke might not start tomorrow. Because maybe he is seen as a 9. I don't think he is. All the journalists in Germany was kind of like, pay him as a 9. He might develop into a really good one. He's not ready to be it now. Gavin Richardson says, who do you want to win the cup final tomorrow? Oh, couldn't care less, mate. Truthfully, I couldn't, because I think for the Newcastle people I know, I think like it would be amazing for them to win it. Good luck. And for them, I hope that they do it, right? But also, it's funny that they haven't won a trophy since someone stood on the moon. And for someone like me who's always getting the kind of the brush slapped at, you don't win nothing. If there's another big club that hasn't won something as well, that's kind of useful for my mindset, right? So yeah, exactly. It goes both ways. So I don't care, Gavin, is the honest answer. Steve says, close to the time, can you please do a game week 31-32 wildcard draft? I have no idea, but may have missed something you've seen, plus awaiting cup results. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's very little doubt. I think we'll put something together. 31's going to be tight because of obviously the midweek 30 and then the deadline. But we'll think of something. Yeah, we'll think of something. I genuinely suspect that it will be wildcard 31 and then people will be moving towards bench boost 32. I really think that's a possibility. Next up, Mike Clarkson, spot on there on Matters, to be honest. Yeah. B Badger says, took Foden out last second and instant regret. Woody Chambers, thanks for the stream, James. What was your best subject at school? Maths, till they started putting fucking letters in it. Truthfully. What is all that algebra about? Fuck off with that. Yeah, I was numbers person. And there's obviously PE, etc. as well. And good luck to you too, B Badger. Gavin says, Toon were reportedly in for Maddison before he came to yourselves. Given how the 10 doesn't seem to fit recent 4-3-3s and his output, did Newcastle dodge a bullet not sign him? Skillful player still. Ultimately, yeah, because whatever I would say about James Maddison, and listen, I want him to do really well. I've heard Villa linked. Like, if Villa want to give us our money back, I would sell him. Without a doubt. Definitely. He's not quick enough. The team that plays on speed so much, he's not quick enough. He's got to speed the game up. Now, what he does on that third goal on Thursday is incredible, right? He's the only player in the squad who can do that, so I acknowledge that. And that's a unique situation where it's a really big skill set. Like, there's not many players actually around that can do that, so I admire it. I need way more, though. Way more in terms of the actual creativity when we are in control in the final third. I need him to lift that tempo for our football team. We played well Thursday night. I need more consistency. Matt Krell says, thought the England squad was very backward thinking, shows short-sightedness of the Tuchel appointment. I suspect that's a conversation we'll be back for next week. Tanky says, Spike Brits starts since no Edison. I have no idea what that means, mate. Didier Jogball says, were you in the stadium when Stephen Carr smashed a goal versus Manchester United? 1998, I remember Spurs won that day. Yeah, I remember winning that day as well, mate. It was 23rd of October 1999. And where I used to sit behind the goal, yeah, it was like he was smashing a fucking arrow at my face, mate. I knew it was in as soon as he hit it. What a goal. One of my favourite ever Spurs goals. Thank you, FPL Pro. I don't know how bit that was, but cool. Jamie Baker says, what's the latest on Saka? Do we know when he'll be back? And are Arsenal likely to double at all? Yeah, Arsenal will probably double in 33 if Palace win in the FA Cup against Fulham. I don't know. I actually want to sip my water and I went to put it down. It's about as backwards as Tuchel's squad. I have an inkling that he might even be in the squad tomorrow. He's close. It's up to Arsenal and Arteta now. Gavin Richardson says, just got a video from Toon fans in London. The supporters club pub used to be the Dolphin near King's Cross. Have changed their name to the Mad Dogs and Mags. They'll need extra staff this weekend. Charles says, hello James, considering triple captain 32, free at 33, wild card 34, 35, bench boost 36, would you think it is too late to use my wild card? My consideration is it is difficult to estimate what's going to happen. Cup results after 34. Exactly that. I don't think it's too late to use the wild card, mate. But I think you have to know that that bench boost could be fucking death, mate. Like, you might not have any doubles in 36. And although the Arse Man is more powerful, you can still, I think, make good use of the Arse Man at the end. That's what I'd say. The bench boost ultimately has got to come around something where it looks good. And them fixtures in the last 4 weeks, one of the reasons we like 32, right, is the fixtures are good for popular teams. That's the reason I like it. Those fixtures, 35 to 38, it's fine if you end up with no doubles. The fixtures are fucking shit as well, mate. It's never going to look good for a bench boost if you don't have doubles. I personally would want to get the bench boost used latest game with 33. Generic Pie War of the Ring says, hey James, which failed Spurs manager do you think would have been most likely to succeed given more time? AVB, Ramos, Nuno, Jose, Conte, etc. Christ, man. None of them. Honestly, they were all right to get sacked. All of them. All of them. Even Harry Redknapp as well. Was right to sack him. I'll die on that hill. He'd lost that team with the whole England and tax thing and all that. Martin Joel just conceded way too many goals. I don't think it was ever going to hit. I don't think he ever would have got us in the top 4. So I don't think there is one, mate. Like, take Conte at Napoli. We all know what that looks like next season, right? It looks a fucking mess. I'll tell you that now. We all know it. The others, nah. I mean, yeah, don't get me started on Jose, right? Okay, Tanky, I've never heard of this person. You suggested me as a 17-year-old in goal for Manchester City this week. That would be most amusing. Anyway, let's have a look at some teams. Got some teams coming in. Ortega starts for Manchester City. Let's do that one first because that's probably the most relevant. So the City team is Ortega, Lewis is starting, Suj, Kusanov, Diaz, Vardio, Gonzalez, Gundogan, Savinho, Marmoush, Doku, Haaland. Foden is a sub, De Bruyne, Grealish, Kovacic, Bernardo's. No Edison in the Manchester City squad. The Brighton team, Verbruggen, Webster, let's try and do this in order, Van Heck, is Stupinan left back, no Lamptey, so I presume Hinshelwood at right back, Gomez, Balaba in midfield, Mitoma, Minter out wide, and Rutter and João Pedro. Southampton looks like a switch back to a back 3, probably. I say probably because Sugawara, Walker Peters and Manning are all in the team. So too Harwood, Bellis and Bella Kochot. Dibbling is in the team. So too Suleimana, Fernandez, Gochaku, Aribo. That looks closer to the setup that impressed me when they lost at Manchester United. The Wolves team is the same team that drew with Everton. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that. Nottingham Forest team at Ipswich is the same team that beat Manchester City last week. Ipswich, Murray Hutchinson plays. I think that's the change from last week. Jack Clark's dropped out and Sisso starts as well. O'Shea plays. Wolfenden, Greaves, Davis, Phillips, Kajus, Philogene, Biddets, Hutchinson and Sisso to lap. Everton is Doucouré and Alcaraz both start. Jesper Lindstrom is a substitute. Otherwise, what we'd have expected. West Ham have stuck with the back 3, but no Cresswell or Scholes still. So Mavropanos and Taribo both start, as does Kilman. Looks like Wan-Bissaka and Emerson as wing backs. Paquetá in for Alvarez. And that's your 3 PMs. Right, I'll finish with Swiss Wavy and then I'm going to disappear. Gavin Richardson says, would you swap Maddison for Barnes? If not, what make white money would you want? I think Barnes is a poor man's Maddison. Personally, have a good week. Not really comparable as players, right? Probably not, Gavin. Probably not. I would, if I swap the two, I still need a 10. Right. Tanky says, I got it from City Extra. I think they deleted it. Okay. Swiss Wavy says, I thought Hodder was a great England manager. How was he for Spurs? Good for 12 months. Then pretty disastrous, actually. And he stayed in the job longer than perhaps he should have because him being a Tottenham legend. I saw him in the airport at Amsterdam 9 days ago. It's true. Those who've watched Away Days on Patreon will have seen that. Right, that's it. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Hope you all have a great weekend. And I hope those arrows are green. Suj will be back with me for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.